We're going to work a little bit again on hips. We worked on hips, hip strengthening a little bit on Tuesday. Today, we're going to just continue that and do different ranges of motion, different shapes. So it's a little bit of continuation from what we did on Tuesday. As always, please remember that you have total agency over your practice. You have total choice over what you do. So as we practice together for the next 45 minutes, if something doesn't feel safe, supportive, or comfortable, back out at any time, okay? So we will start on our backs with your knees bent. Can let your arms rest comfortably by your side, or if you want to put your hands down on your hips, you could do that. You could put your hands on the floor. And we just give ourselves a couple moments to intentionally slow things down. Just letting your physical body find and feel some stillness. And with curiosity and kindness, drawing your awareness, your attention inward. It's coming into your body, reminding ourselves of this practice of embodiment. This practice of being in our bodies, with our movements, with our breathing. You could start by feeling the ground beneath you. What does it feel like to be connected to the floor, to the ground, through the earth? You might notice the stability and the strength of the earth, ground, floor. You might find a little release, some support by taking a couple breaths and just letting your body release into the ground. Let the ground hold you up. And feeling your back body. And feeling your breath. Noticing what feels strong, supportive, and comfortable. And noticing what might feel a little tighter today. And then bringing in a soft, warm hello to the parts that might not feel as strong or as comfortable, the parts that might feel tight. Bringing a gentle, kind hello, bringing some kindness and curiosity into those parts. We'll take a couple of breaths. And coming back to feeling your breath in the parts that feel strong and supportive, those places of resource. And we'll take about 3, 4, or 5 breaths here to show gratitude, appreciation for all of the parts, for the parts that might not be feeling super wonderful, for the parts that do feel great, wonderful, and strong. because all of the parts help make us up to be who we are, and all of the parts bring different types of awareness, attention, and interest into our bodies. And then let's take a nice full inhale and a full exhale. And then using your next exhale to help you feel just a little more grounded and anchored. And we'll bring your right knee all the way up into your chest. So you can take your right hand on the top of your right shin and then push your left heel down and extend your left leg. So your left leg is going to be pretty straight and heavy on the floor. And you can draw your right knee way, 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 way up as close to your rib cage. You might feel your low back start to come down into the floor. Your pelvis tucks under a little bit. That's okay. Gonna soften the shoulders. I'm just gonna make some circles with your legs. So taking your right leg out to the right, just pause, do one really slow. So as the right leg comes out to the right, check that your left back hip didn't pop up. So want to keep the left side of your body anchored. And then you're just going to take your right knee all the way around in a circle. We'll just do 3 going this direction. So you're moving your right leg around in the socket, trying to keep your hips, pelvis, right, really stable. It's kind of defining in your own body your leg and your hip, and then you can go the opposite direction 3 times. It's kind of, say, flossing or moving that hip and defining what it feels like in this range of motion. And then we'll bring the knee back up over the hip. Interlace your hands behind your hamstring, okay? And then press your right knee away from you. So you're going to press the right knee, press the thigh bone away till it stacks back up over the hip, which will bring your low back into its little lumbar neutral and your pelvis nice and heavy. And then 3 hamstring stretches, bending and straightening, taking your heel a little more up towards the ceiling. And on your third one, when your knee's a little straighter than bent, just hold the leg for a moment. And then using a little more of what we understand from the core to help hold the leg, see if you can soften your shoulders and your jaw, soften your face. And then we're going to roll the right knee away. So you're going to roll your toes and knees away. This is external rotation. And you're going to bring your knee and toe back. And we'll do 3 of those. And then just the relationship of your leg moving in the socket. When your knee comes back, your toes come back, take a breath. A little more challenge, you hold the leg up towards the ceiling and let the arms come down to the floor. And the awareness back to the face, the neck, the jaw. And then press up through your heel and pull your toenails down and take a breath. And then when you're ready, with an exhale, bend your right knee. And just bring your foot to the floor. Bend your left knee and come back to constructive rest pose for a couple of breaths, noticing your experience, feeling your body, feeling your breath. When you feel your exhale, recognize, that's my exhale. And we'll switch sides. Left knee comes all the way in. You're going to push down through that right heel, extend the right leg nice and long. Keep the right side nice and heavy and stable as you start to move the left knee out and around. Go 3 times each direction. Balancing so that right side stays really anchored and grounded as you move that left leg around. And then after 3, stacking that left knee back over the left hip. You can bring both hands when you're ready on the back of the hamstrings. And then bringing some attention to your low back as you press your left leg away from you, left knee back over the hip, you feel how the low back comes back into soft curve neutral. Try to keep soft curve neutral low lumbar spine as you straighten and bend your left leg 3 times, getting a little more into the hamstrings. Arms stay pulled down out of the shoulders, shoulders stay out of the ears. And then when your left leg is a little more straight than bent, you're going to work on that rotation, rolling the left knee and toes out and back. So how does a leg feel as it moves? Remember, this is a ball and socket joint. So you're taking that femur, that big thigh bone, you're taking that ball and rolling it around in the socket. And you're going to hold the leg up, stretch through the hamstring. Woo. Soften the shoulders and push the heel up and pull the toenails down. Nice connection to your breath, full exhale. And then when you're ready, bend the left knee, bring the left foot all the way down. Bend the right leg. Come back to constructive rest pose. And then come back to your breath and just give yourself a moment to check back in. 3 breaths. And then when you feel your exhale again, recognize, that's my exhale. And then we're going to roll all the way on up to sitting. So you might use your legs to help you roll up. You might just roll up. You might roll over to the other side. I'm going to come on up. All right, let's just warm up our wrists really quick before we go down onto tabletop. So we'll do the one that we've been working on the last couple of weeks. We'll bring our arms parallel, and then we'll bend. And then keeping this idea of strong core, and stretch the shoulders by bringing your arms as close together as works for you. And squeeze. And then we open the palms up to the ceiling and pull the knuckles down. Sweet. And then we close and open. Great. One more time. So pull the knuckles, pull the fingernails down and push up. Great. And then we're going to interlace. And then we come down and go side to side. Sweet, you can make little circles going around. Go both directions. Fabulous. And then we'll come down and build your tabletop. So let's give ourselves a few breaths. Strong fingers. Remember, our arms connect up into the back of the shoulder. So see if you can feel a little more of the arm bone connecting into the back of the shoulder. And the shoulder blades. If you need to move your shoulder blades around a little bit so you can find them, go for that. Get your shoulder blades nice and strong and firm. You're pasting your shoulder blade on your back here. And then we can come into that symmetrical idea of midline. So ears, the same height as your shoulders, ribs, and hips. So you have that rectangular table, right? And then from there, just pause and see if you can feel a little more of the breath through your back body. What does it feel like in your own body to take 2 or 3 breaths in your back lungs? And they're going to keep this idea of really pressing your mat down into the floor. So you're going to keep pushing down, and you're going to pull your hip creases back. Your shoulders will go back, and keep pushing down. And you're going to push down and then pull your hip creases, pull your shoulders forward. So you're going to load the shoulders, arms, wrists a little bit differently. The same with the hips. You're going to load the hips, load the lower back differently as you push down and have this sliding feel. And then coast back to your table. We're going to add a challenge. So this is a challenge that's felt more than seen in your body. So you're going to feel this neutral spine here. Feel the shape of your spine. And you're going to resist moving the shape of your spine. It's probably going to move, but you're going to resist it, okay? So as you bring your hip creases back, see how far you can pull your butt back before your spine changes shapes. And then when you're ready, you go back to table, reset into neutral spine, and see how far you can pull yourself forward before you feel your spine change shape. So you're working with some deep internal core muscles to try and stabilize the spine. But anatomically, your spine's going to need to change shapes here. See if you can pay attention and feel that mix of stability with that anatomical mobility. We'll do one more each way. And you can really challenge yourself to come pretty far forward and go really far back. If you need a lot more challenge, float your knees off the floor. So if you're like, oh, I really need more strength-based challenge, do this in a floating table. And then we'll come back to the table. We'll sit all the way back on your heels and bring your hands by your side. All right, so we're sitting back on the heels, and then we're going to push down and lift the pelvis up. And we're going to do a little bit of pelvic extension. So lots of core. You're going to push your pubic bone forward, get some extension in the pelvis, and then some flexion by sitting back, heels to bottom, or bottom to heels, and push forward. Great, one more. Then this time when we come up on our knees, right, I'm going to push the pubic bone forward. Now when the pubic bone goes forward, your hip bones are going to tip back. And then we're going to do like an exhale and knit the ribs to sit back up nice and tall. I'm going to do that 2 more times. So lots of core stability. Pubic bone goes forward. Hips tip back. Do your exhale to knit the ribs, navel back, back to neutral. Good. One more on your own. Fabulous. Back to tabletop. Take a little fork in the road. If you're happy in table, you could stay in table. If you need a little less, go to child's pose. You want a little more, lift your knees, pull your hip creases back, downward facing dog. So finding a shape and then coming back to feeling the ground, feeling that support through the earth. Then I'm going to be really quiet so you can listen and hear 3 breaths. When you hear your next exhale, start to walk your feet up to your hands. Then bring your hands up into your hip creases. And with an exhale, slowly stand all the way on up. You can let your arms hang and build your standing mountain meditation for about 3 to 5 breaths. So just coming all the way back, standing, remembering that practice of embodiment. You can come back into your body, feeling your body, feeling your breath. Then when you feel your next exhale, recognize, hey, that's my exhale, and let your eyes gradually open. All right, we're gonna turn to do a big wide stride. So if you're in the room, you can look out at the beautiful lake. I need sunglasses, it's so bright out there. Or you can turn to face me. We're gonna take your feet out wide and your heels will come in and your toes will go out. Okay. So bringing your hands to your pelvis, let's define your pelvis. So you have this pelvic bowl, okay, front hips, back hips, and then you have thigh bones, right? And your thigh bones plug into your hip socket. So when we go up and down in our sumo squat, there's a little bit of rotation of the thigh bone in that hip socket. Luckily, we're all really different. We all have different size sockets. So some of us might have a little tight socket. Some of us might have a more open, more mobile socket. So there's no reason to force mobility in the hip, okay? So as you go up and down, next time you go down, pause and just take a snapshot. Look down and see if your knees are over your middle toes. So if you're really tight in your adductors, in your inner thigh groin area, your knees might be kind of buckling in. There's other reasons for that tightness too, but we want to look down and then we want to push the thigh bone back a little bit. And open through the front of the hip a little more, and you should maybe should's probably not the right word. You could see your big toe. Yeah. If you want more challenge, lift your heels a piece of paper. Woohoo! And then press nice and wide into the balls of the feet and come all the way on up. Great. 3 more. Go down and come up. Knees wide towards the middle toes. Great. Last one, we'll bring your legs all the way up and let your heels draw back to come down. Great. Let's all pat your left leg. So we're all going together. So we're going to do the first one really slow and then you'll pick up the pace. You're going to look down, you're going to lift your left heel. And then you're going to define, here's your left hip bone. Here's your left thigh bone. You're going to roll your thigh bone in and have internal rotation. Then you're going to lift your left heel and roll your leg back out. External rotation, okay? So we're just going to work on that left leg. Do it 3 times because 3 is the magic number. I'm going to try not to sing that song now. All right, so next time that left thigh bone's rolled in, pause and put that heel down. Great. Press down through that left heel and take your left thigh bone and push it or pull it back. Whatever word description works for you. Take that thigh bone and press it into the back of the socket. Pat your right leg. Okay, lift your right toes so you're on your heel and externally rotate that leg. Roll it away from you. Keep it on your heel, keep your toes up, and then internally rotate the leg. Trying to feel the leg move a little more than your hip. Fabulous. And then your right leg externally rotates and you put the toes down. Find just the right length, heel to heel, and bring your hands back up on your hips. Great. With an inhale, let's lift your hips up, lift your pelvic bowl. With an exhale, bend your right knee. Good. Push down into the right leg to straighten the right leg. Exhale, bend. So push that right thigh bone, push the right heel down, and your leg will start to slowly straighten from the energy going down. Last one. Great. And then when your right leg's a little straighter than bent, pause, hands on your hips. Lift your right toes. Everyone's going to do the right leg. Internally rotate your right leg in. And then roll it back out. Roll it back in. Can you feel your leg is separate? It's not the same as your pelvis. And the next time you roll your right leg in, pause. Good. Lift your left toes. Externally rotate your left leg. Roll it back in. So nice and strong. Rolling the legs in the socket. Next time the left leg rolls out, pause. Line yourself up about heel to heel. Lift the pelvic bowl up. Woo. Remember to soften the shoulders. Soften the chest. Let the left knee bend. And then the left thigh bone feels super heavy. We push that heavy thigh bone, heavy heel, straighten the leg. So you can add internal resistance as you bend and straighten. One more time. And then when that left leg is a little straighter than bent the next time, pause. Pick up the left toes and steer the left toes a little more forward. The right toes a little more forward. Soft bend in your knees. Great. From the hands in your hip creases, you're going to fold over, kind of push the hip creases back. So we want to go from the pelvis first as you fold over to a wide leg table. So just bring your shoulders over about as high as your hips, even if you can go farther. Pause there, and then come all the way up. Push your pubic bone forward a little bit. Take your hip bones back. Strong core. Tip back over from the hip creases. Pushing back. Pelvis tips forward. Anchor strong through the feet, legs, come all the way on up. All right, pause. Left leg, lift your left heel. Internal rotation, so roll that left leg in. Lift your right toes, externally rotate that right leg and put your toes down. Build your shape first so it's strong and supportive, comfortable in the sockets. Lift up through the hips and bend the right knee. So we're going to add on, we're going to hold the legs really strong and steady here. So your legs are not going to move for a while. You're going to take your right arm and reach it out and up towards the ceiling. So we're switching gears to your right shoulder blade a little bit. See if you can feel your shoulder blade. You're going to slide your right shoulder blade up and lift your arm up out of your hip out of that right thigh bone. You're gonna get long and strong through the right side. Sweet. With your exhale, fold over your right hip crease. So take your right hip crease and pull it back and fold over, right hand to the right shin or elbow to your knee. You're going to your side angle. So your right hand could grab your shin or your elbow could come to your knee. Great. Take a breath. Feel your exhale. Come all the way back up, hands to your hips, and pause. Okay. Feel your left back heel. Okay. Lift your left back heel and internally rotate that leg to come to a high lunge. Fabulous. Little more challenge. You take your pelvis and lift it up. Press your left thigh bone way back. Get that stretch through that back hip flexor. Up to you if you want to bend your right knee a little more and sweep your arms up to the ceiling. Give yourself 2 or 3 breaths. With your next breath, with your next inhale, can you feel the inhale lift the back ribs up a little bit? Full exhale, hands to your hips, pause. It's a little bit of a balance. You have to put your left heel back on the floor. Can you feel your leg rotate to put the heel back on the floor? Sweet. Straighten your right front leg there. Rotate it back so it's in your wide leg form shape. Hands on your pelvis. Push your hip creases back, wide leg standing table. Come all the way back up. Find a little bit of pelvic extension, pushing your pubic bone forward, hips back. One more time, standing wide leg table. All the way back up, pubic bone presses forward. Hips lift and tip back, getting some stretch in the front of the hips. And then back to standing wide legs. Just soften and take 2 or 3 breaths. And coming back to your body, breathing to your awareness, pat your right leg. Lift your right heel, roll that leg in, put that right heel down. Lift your left toes, external rotation, and put the left toes down, hands on your hips. Excellent. Bend your left knee and pause. Build your shape. Now you're going to stabilize the pelvis and the legs together and take your left arm out and up towards the ceiling. And shift gears so you have that nice engaged abdominal area with your breath. Slide your left shoulder blade up. From the left hip crease, tip over. So you can feel like you're folding over that hip crease. And then the arm can come down and grab your outer shin, or your elbow can come to your knee. Just give yourself 2 breaths, heavy thigh bone. Full exhale. And then just lift your chest back up, hands on your hips. Back right leg, lift that heel. Internally rotate that back right leg to find that high lunge. Stack things up. Those things are your ears, shoulders, ribs, and hips. Back right heel stays lifted, and then we take that thigh bone and press it back to get that hip flexor stretch. Keeping the abdominals on. If you want more challenge, arms come up for 2 breaths. And with your next inhale, can you feel the back ribs lift up? And exhale, both hands come back down. You have to rotate that back right leg to get that right heel back to the floor. And then you straighten the left leg, rotate so both legs are facing a little more forward. Great, let's add the arms this time. Exhale, let's take the arms all the way out and up. Good, inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Arms come out like a T. And this time, go ahead, fold all the way over as far as your low back and your hamstrings like it, all right? So as you're folding over, continue to pay attention into your low back, into your hamstrings. Always adjust. So if this is really pulling on your low back and your hamstrings, bend your knees. And then re-guiding your awareness to your back lungs, 2 breaths. With your next exhale, bring your hands up into your hips. And slowly with your next exhale, come all the way back on up to standing. Great. Left leg, heel lifts. Roll the left leg in. Roll the right leg out. Bending your right knee into that warrior 2 leg shape. Right arm comes all the way up to the ceiling. Slide your right shoulder blade up. With an exhale, tip over either elbow to knee or hand to the outside of the right shin leg. We're going to let your left arm come down and grab the inside of your thigh bone or maybe your shin. And then we're going to find that engaged breath again. So remember, engaged breathing, we feel tone in the abdominals during the inhale and the exhale. We're going to keep that right leg really strong in the socket as we do a little bit of twisting. You're going to reach your left arm out to the side and then twist and rotate up to side angle. And then you're going to lower your left arm back down to your right shin. And do it one more time. So you're revolving, twisting. Feel out the shape. Remember, this is more about how you feel, less about how you look. Take 2 breaths. And press down, come all the way up to warrior 2. Exhale, hands to your hips. Great, lift your left back heel, go to your high lunge. So you're gonna twist to look, revolve to look over. Find your high lunge, arms come up. You got it. Exhale, hands back to your hips. Rotate that left leg to put the left heel down. Straighten the right leg, rotate wide legs. Great, forward fold. 2 breaths. Next exhale, come all the way back up. Take 2 or 3 breaths, settle. Feel out your right leg, lift your right heel. Internally rotate your right leg. Externally rotate your left leg. Bend your left knee. Left arm comes up, slide the shoulder blade up. Tip at your hip, build your side angle. So either the left hand grabs the outside of the ankle or your elbow comes to your knee. Right arm comes down towards the inside of the shin by the big toe, or maybe on the thigh bone. Engage breathing, strong abdominals. Reach the right arm out and spin up. And then come back down. One more time, you got this. Moving that thoracic spine, twisting. Great. Hold your side angle. How do you feel? Do you need to adjust? Do you need to move? Press down, warrior two. Exhale, hands to your hips. Lift your back right heel. Internally rotate that thigh bone, leg bone, high lunge. Balance, more challenge, arms come up, 2 breaths. Hands come back to your hips. You have to spin that back leg to put the heel down. Straighten the left leg, rotate both legs forward. Excellent. When you're ready, step your feet together. Look wherever you want to look. Whew. Take a moment. Come all the way back to your experience. What's it feel like right here to breathe through your body? With your next exhale, when you feel, hear, sense an exhale, we're going to sweep your arms out and up. We're going to do a full body stretch for an inhale. Bend your knees, exhale, fold forward, and step back, downward facing dog or tabletop. Exhale, lower down to your knees. From here, we're going to just slide your shoulders forward. Now, when the load gets to be too much for your wrists, you want to stop. You want to pause. So you might be coming a little bit more forward. Now, pull your navel back. So you're going to really want to find ribs down and in, navel back, and then your sternum, like an arrow, goes up. And you're pushing down, looking to lift your sternum up. You might take your head up a little bit. Right? You might be coming a little bit more forward. You might come to the tops of your feet and lift your knees up. We're all at different places here. It's kind of hard, and it kind of feels good and hard all at the same time, and then push back to child's pose. And then let everything rest. And just give your body time to feel and come back. You might be breathing a little heavier. Your heart might be beating a little faster. Those are all benefits of the practice. And then when you feel 2 more exhales, on the second exhale, we're going to roll over onto your backs. And we'll come back to constructive rest pose. So your heels will come in line with your sit bones. You're going to bring your arms down by your side, so palms face down. Okay, you could grab the edges of your mat if you want. You want to feel like your fingers are drawing down out of your ears, like you're pulling your arms down out of your ears, and you're pushing your triceps down into the floor a little more. And then we're going to roll up your back. So you're going to push your belly button down, and then roll up your back to bridge pose. And then when you get up to your bridge, see if you can come back to soften some through the throat and the chest. You want to have a long bridge. So the idea like your navel and your knees are going forward. Just stretching and lengthening through the front of your hips. So from your pelvic crest, hip bone out your knee, nice and long, 3 breaths. Might feel like your shins were pulling forward towards your toes. And then you roll down with lots of strength. Your pelvis comes last. And then just settling on your back. Coming back to your experience. Checking back in. How do you feel? Can you come back to those places of resource in your body? Back to gratitude for your practice. We always take the last couple minutes for self-care. So you might want to do some hip stretching. What's your favorite hip stretch? You might want to do some meditation. You might want to just stay on your back in the sunshine and breathe and daydream. So we'll take the last minute and a half here on your own. And coming back to your experience, outstretch your legs and take your arms overhead and do a nice full body stretch. And with an exhale, pull your knees into your chest, come into a little ball. And then we'll slowly roll all the way over and come on up to sitting. Just find a comfortable seated shape and a very short, meaningful gratitude practice. Find 2 or 3 things you're extremely grateful for and just settle and take a breath for each one. And then with your next exhale, interlacing your hands in front of you, pressing your arms out, letting your gaze, letting your eyes open. Just take your arms up. We'll do a stretch. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thank you so much. I kept you a little long today. So, it's Friday. Oh, look at that. I'm blissed out. Thanks, everybody. Have a super weekend. See you next Friday.